Vampires have earned their place in horror history, but many people may not know that in some cases, vampires are more than just works of fiction. Some famous vampire stories have actually come from real events, and that's what we're going to be bringing you in today's video. Starting off with a fairly recent event taking place in the United States in New England in 1990, a grave was discovered containing the bodies of farmers who died in the 1700s. However, upon investigation of the corpses, one body had been rearranged in the shape of Jolly Rogers. Someone had broken into the coffin years after the deaths and rearranged the body. This discovery was soon linked to the Givet City vampires of the 1800s. Investigator Michael Bell believes that there are plenty more to learn about these vampires. Another relatively recent event on our list, this story comes from the Highgate Cemetery in London in 1969. Animal corpses began appearing in the cemetery, inexplicably drained of their blood as locals began to investigate the cause of this phenomena. Many began to report a tall figure lurking around the cemetery at night. After these stories at the press, a group of vampire hunters began digging up the graves in search of him. And soon the vampire stopped appearing. So was he caught or did he simply move on to the another ground? Elizabeth Bathory. Elizabeth Bathory, known as the Blood Countess, and for good reason, she was a Romanian countess who ruled in the 16th century and had a disturbing fascination with torturing her subjects. Her methods ranged from forced body piercings to standing someone out in the snow until they froze to death. So, what makes her a vampire? Well, she had a habit of bathing in blood of her victims in an effort to keep herself from aging. I would too. Being put on trial, Bathory was walled inside her castle until she eventually died, but her legacy and perhaps her ghost still live on. With the extremely reluctant blessing of George Brown, who at first discounted the vampire theory, his relatives and neighbors visited the Brown family plot in the town's Chestnut Hill Cemetery on March 17, 1892. In the small graveyard behind the town's Baptist church, they exhumed the body of Mary Brown and Mary Olive Brown. They opened the casket and, as would be expected, found only their bones inside of the casket. The townspeople then turned their attention to the casket of Mercy Brown, who had died 8 weeks earlier. Accounts differ as to whether Mercy's body had already been buried or if it rested in a crypt until the ground could thaw or undertakers could dig a grave. However, when the lid was lifted off Mercy's coffin, her body was found on her side. Her face appeared flushed and there was blood in her heart and in her veins.